Hello, beautiful souls. This is Chelsea Hazlett, and you have landed on this week's weekly wisdom transition, where I want to talk about something that once it clicks somewhere internally, it shifts naturally something, and there's no right or wrong, and there's no timing. So I really invite you to just allow this to wash over you and see what sticks and see what feels a little like, I don't know what I think about that. And that is that manifestation is not actually a technique, right? We are bombarded, at least I am bombarded on the daily with techniques and methods to quote unquote get what we want, get what I want. But it's actually not a method. I think of it more as a framework, right? A lens through which I experience my entire life. So we're not here learning how to manifest, right? We already are. Like that's, kind of one of these little secrets that I feel like mainstream manifestation likes to keep us in the dark about, right? We are creating every single moment. And there is a little bit of a difference between just natural creation and intentional manifestation. But through your thoughts, your emotions, your energy, your choices, right? And coherence with those to your divine soul blueprint, really the question becomes like, what energy, what frequency are you creating from? What energy are the building blocks of your creations? Right. And so when I started to understand this, when I started to understand that understand manifestation as a framework, everything just really began to make sense to me on a bigger level, right? It was no longer about trying to control outcomes to get this one specific thing to happen in this one specific way. It really allowed me to stop forcing myself, forcing others around me to act in a certain way, to be a certain way. But it's really about, I have found, like I just mentioned, this coherence, which is like when all parts are kind of speaking the same energetic language, right? So coherence can look like your frequency, your beliefs, your identity, your karmic patterns, your emotions, your thoughts, and your actions, right? If you've been around me for a second, you know that that's always in the conversation. Those are aligned in the direction that resonates to your divine soul blueprint, right? And so when that happens, your outer reality reorganizes itself to your internal state, right? That as above, so below, that as within, so without, right? Sort of universal wisdom. So, this is why I hold really strongly to the, I don't know, just to the tenet that manifestation is not about positive thinking, right? This is not about light washing. This is not even about fixing anything that's wrong, right? You're not broken. You're not doing it wrong. You don't have to be scared of negative thoughts or your fears or like, half of the human emotions that we're here to experience, right? All it is, all that notion of like that desire is just you wanting to have a different experience now, right? And from my perspective, that desire is divine instruction. It's divine, it's not even instruction. It's divine it's like the banks of your river, right? Like guiding the flow of your life, of your individual fractal of divinity, what that piece of divinity desires to experience through your human form, through your human life, right? And so when you respond to that desire, it stops being about chasing something, right? You're not chasing something outside of yourself. It's actually an experience of a more authentic version of yourself, right? I have kind of shifted my relationship with, this next quote unquote version of ourselves. It's like, yeah, it's next in a linear time sort of way, but truly, we're not becoming something new. We are we're like shedding the layers and getting to the core of the more authentic divine being that we are. So for me, like, this is the heart of coherence, right? When I think, feel, behave, and choose, when all of those are resonating at this frequency that I have identified that is for me, that my dream holds the frequency of, right? Then it gets to be less about getting it right and just more about living in alignment with what's true in your field. And that does mean, for me, deselecting things that are not aligned with that, right? And that's can be sometimes the super messy piece. But that happens through choices, right? We can sit on our meditation mat in yoga on a run and feel or think about a different way of being or different experience. And sure, it matters, but that alone does not shift our outer reality. So, manifestation at its core can be very simple, that choice equals consequence. I'm really trying to allow a different word to come to me than consequence, because there's, especially as a parent, kind of a negative connotation with that word, but more of like a natural consequence, right? Like when I jump up, I will come down. That's the consequence of jumping up, right? Something kind of as simple as that. So, you know, decision, like, I don't want to discount. So this is also not saying it's only action, right? Because there is this thread that is so clear once you see it, that a lot of people are talking about like the one thing that you need to do, the one way. And your thoughts do matter. Your emotions do matter, right? But because your beliefs, because they typically inform your actions, right? Authentic actions. So choices move energy, literally, right? Every time you choose something that's in alignment with your divine self, your authentic self, you shift timelines a little bit, right? And it is in a linear way for a reason. Our energy is stable as a human for a reason. But I think the key that so many of us, and that I for sure have gotten caught up in, is this like waiting for clarity, waiting for perfection, waiting to see all the steps, right? And sometimes we create by choosing, and that gives us feedback. And that doesn't mean that we choose and like unicorns start jumping out of the sky, maybe, but something that we quote unquote don't want could happen. And that's feedback, right? And then we get to choose and pivot based on that. So it's like this, I love the analogy of the choose your own adventure books, right? I'm definitely dating myself on that. But yeah, right. There's so many different ways. And if you choose this, this is what you get. But like, had a different choice. But the difference, I think, that's helpful to understand and delineate is that you can change your mind at any moment and it doesn't have immediate consequences. You can start to believe something new at any moment and it doesn't have immediate consequences. But a lot of times when you choose something, when you take action on something, there are immediate consequences, even if you don't see them, right? If you make the choice to do something, you don't actually know what's rearranging, but things are rearranging. in other people's lives as well, right? We don't manifest in silos. This is the co creation with Source, it is the co creation with each other here, right? Yes, we are all the main characters in our movies, but we're all like in each other's movies, right? Like, what part are we playing in each other's movies? So this week, I really invite you to look at life through this lens, right? Really, that there's nothing to fix or control per se, but as something that you are in this constant co-creation with. That life, capital L life, is the banks of the river and you are the flow, right? And I think I, for one, at least always have this like, when I say that, it's like, ooh, this like nice, gentle flow of a creek. And it's like, yeah, there can be class 5 rapids, right? That is also flow. And there are also still banks that can hold that, right? So, where can you make a single choice that honors the alignment to your soul, right? That's the framework. This is like manifestation in motion, right? So, as always, I adore your reflections and questions. So, please feel free to comment and reply to this. And I will see you next week right here. Thanks so much.